Hey everybody, Reed from Zapier, as I was just introduced. That is still my name. I'm going to be talking today about how to actually do automations with AI, and particularly focusing on marketing ops and sales. So a little bit about me. As I mentioned, I work at a company called Zapier. That is how it is pronounced. It's probably the number one question I get is how on earth do you pronounce it? Is it Zapier, Zapier? If you're a French speaker, Zapier. It is not the last one. It is the first one, Zapier. My world, I started my career working in social media technology at a company called Hootsuite. I spent about 5 years there really learning everything I could about the world of digital marketing, switched over to Zapier to join partnerships to really work with Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, everybody in the social ad space. So the conversation from Smartly, talk to their teams, really just awesome. And left to start up a NFT company that we sold in 2022 and rejoined Zapier to work on AI stuff. So I love the world of marketing and AI. It's been incredibly exciting to work on the last year. And I'm just excited to talk about some of the fun ways our own teams and what we're seeing some customers do when incorporating things like GPT-4 into a workflow that runs while you sleep and how that actually happens. I'll also talk a little bit about how we got there as a company. Probably one of the topics that comes up a lot is, yeah, this AI stuff's really cool and we love seeing what's possible, but we've had a really difficult time getting people in our company to actually adopt any of this or learn about it or try it. We get that a lot. So I want to talk about some of the things that we did to get there. And yeah, there'll be Q&A at the side. Awesome. So our CEO, Wade, had this quote really early on when it was that late 2022 AI hype initial wave. And I love starting with this because quite honestly, one of the things that does excite me is the fact that so much of what's being built today and so much of what's being developed is very new. You've heard a lot of things today that are still really experimental, still really new, MVPs that are shipped incredibly quickly, and people who are gonna say they're experts, really minimal time to be an expert in, at least, especially in the world in which generative AI is applied to marketing. So this is anyone's game right now. If you are just taking that step and learning, you're in a great spot. So Zapier, we've got one of our other co-founders shared this recently. I think it was actually a couple days ago. And yeah, over 30% of our employees are using AI in workflows every single day. And little highlight there on some of the top ROI use cases we've actually started to see. And I want to actually talk through how some of these look and how you build these as we move along here. So first, let's talk non-AI. Zapier is a workflow automation tool that essentially means you're taking data from point A to point B. Most common in the world of marketing would be lead management. So you have a new lead that came in from a tool like Typeform, you add it to your Google Sheet, and then you send your sales team a message in Slack. Very, very, very common. But that's not really using AI, and it's not very exciting. So where does AI come in? Well, the first thing you might want to do is start figuring out, okay, I want to work on how I can reply to these users or how these leads. And one way to do that is you copy the email, put it in ChatGPT, and ask ChatGPT, hey, what's a good way to reply to this user? Here's a little bit about my company, so on and so forth. But again, that's you sitting there at a computer, that's you taking the time and doing all of that. So where we start to see a lot more excitement, I'll see a little emoji moved, is actually doing this in your sleep, as I like to say. And you add a GPT-4 step in the middle of that now you can actually give ChatGPT a little bit of that same information that you were normally typing to it, and it's going to output it every single time. And you could send those right away. You could do draft emails if you actually want to add a human in the loop review step. Lots of fun stuff. And yeah, we see probably in the world of marketing, the top use cases we're seeing are across lead management. That's a lot of what we just talked through. Content generation, doing draft articles from new ideas that the team has, ideating on what concepts for content might make sense for a campaign that you're working on, team collaboration, a lot of different ways you could do it there, and operations, as we'll talk through a lot of fun things today. One of the probably easiest ones to start to understand, hopefully for a lot of the people that have a lot of content in their organizations, We have 6,000 apps on the platform, and we try to publish we have an article that gets published every month, I believe, that talks through new and noteworthy apps. What has been updated? What has been new? And normally this was completely handwritten every single month. And what we started to do is we actually said, hey, when there's new apps added to our platform, we're going to find information about the partner from our CRM Copper, and then we're going to actually ask ChatGPT to try to write up its best approach of what might be included for that. Our content team then actually manually reviews this every single time. They don't actually publish exactly what was done, but in the words of our writer, she says, I rewrite everything it writes, but it saves me so much time. And those are the types of things I love seeing. We'll dive into some more fancy ROI-friendly ones. Personalized email outreach. I think in my time working in digital marketing, the concept of personalization came up so many times. I spent a lot of time doing like social selling, if anybody remembers that era, and personalizing sales outreach was such a critical side. Today, I'm amazed how many emails I get that are still not personalized, even from AI companies. And so what we do now is we look at when new contacts are added to certain HubSpot lists, we'll actually get ChatGPT with information about our company on what actual use cases might be relevant for that user, then actually get it to format that information into an email-friendly way. And in this case, it actually does update that contact with what we suggested and sends the email. And this one has, here's a great example, right? This is a real example of what this would do. So it's going to learn about that user. It's going to say, hey, we're going to recommend a sales meeting follow-up, a lead enrichment, and a pipeline reporting use case, and share it with that user. And we've got some great feedback on this, and it has done a great job for us. It's a relatively simple workflow, as you saw, but this is at the bottom here. This is a real reply from someone who literally said this was the best sales email they've ever received. And yeah, we've seen a 50% increase in the booking rates when we implemented this. And more importantly, prospects actually seem to enjoy getting something that was personalized for them. Another one here is on sales conversions. I'm sure many of you have tagged along to a sales call and followed through their process. And I know for marketers, you're like, we got them those qualified leads. We heard how they did on the call, and the sales rep may or may not have done a good job after that point. And particularly, I know there's often pain of how do you get those sales reps to leverage all of the marketing assets that are there in those follow-ups. And you can start to leverage AI steps to do an amazing job at that, to take the transcript from tools like Gong that they're probably already using, to get like what they actually talked about on the call, incorporate what are the next steps and action items, what are the use cases that were talked about, what apps might be relevant for them. And then you start to tie that all together into your CRM, you send a draft email to the sales rep that says, hey, you just had a great meeting with Tiffany. Here's a draft email that you could send that incorporates great next steps. And yeah, we've seen this do a great job for us in conversion rates, and our reps are just much more efficient now. They're handling more deals than they were previously handling because they're not spending so much time doing a very manual, rote process. We even do one that does a similar workflow, but this is on internal people in the company want to know, hey, what are people talking about from our customers? What are they saying about the new features that we've launched? And we actually built a little system that pipes information into Slack for every call that the sales team does. And it kind of like summarizes key information from that call and shares it in Slack. This way, anybody else who's curious about what might be going on can search that channel in Slack. They can follow that channel. They can set up keyword alerts for various things. Just really nice little things that kind of get that information wider because, as I'm sure everybody here, like the access to information is never the problem. It's the way to digest it. All right, quickly here. I'm going to talk through a little bit about how we actually got here. How did we get, I think we're about 800 people to start experimenting and actually trying to use AI in this way. And one of the number one ways, we made it very clear that they were going to have to try it. Our CEO Wade actually did a kind of code red, as he called it, for the company, where he shared a post that was, hey, this is a critically important thing. We want to be experimenting here. We want to be learning about what other people are doing. And we followed that up by doing a company-wide hack week. This was actually a full week where we instituted just no meetings. We expect you to be doing less actual work, and we want you to experiment with what you can do. In the past, our hack weeks had often been product eng oriented. However, for this one, we did the entire company, including all of our go-to-market, our ops, our finance. Everybody was just trying to experiment what would be possible. And we came out with ones like here on the left, that was from one of our more engineers. That was about, things that are applicable to me and my job that I can do. They started to work together. Go-to-market teams, what were they doing that we could then look at making more productized in that little room over there at 4 p.m. today. So I'll be spending a lot more time diving into how do you actually build these things and what are some funky things. And if you have a use case that you want to try, bring it, because it's going to be pretty hands-on. And Q&A is on the right. There you go. That's me. It's automating with AI.